Hello, and thank you for joining us today for SDI's First Friday webinar series. Today, we'll be discussing technology and trust, maximizing values in supplier relationships with innovative SRM strategies. Today, we'll have Fatima, our Director of Supplier Relationship Management, and we're going to be touching on a few topics, and that it will be understanding how technology enhances SRM to promote transparency and mutual growth, gain insight into the critical role of supplier scorecards in facilitating collaborative partnerships, learn how the strategic management of supplier relationships can drive exceptional business value. In our next slide, Fatima, you can take it away.
Thank you very much, Gabe. So good afternoon, everyone. As Gabe mentioned, I am Fatima Dennis, the Director of Supplier Relationship Management here at SDI. And what I wanted to do is kind of talk about a little bit about what we do in SRM here at SDI. So this slide really encompasses everything that we do in the SRM. And the focus of the supplier relationship management process is to develop a two-way mutual beneficial relationship with our strategic supply partners. Now, there's no way that every supplier can be a strategic supplier. We really want to focus on those suppliers that will help bring the most value and what it is that we do. The relationship delivers greater levels of innovation and competitive advantage than could be achieved by operating independently or through traditional transactional purchasing agreements. So here at SDI SRM, we focus on procurement management, which is the process of promoting and selling products or services, as well as our supplier portal, Zeus. And our supplier portal is a web-based platform that allows suppliers to access information and transact with SDI. And the information that the supplier provides to us through our supplier portal also feeds information to our IPM apps that are used by facility maintenance technicians and giving them visibility to their orders. And I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get to that section. Our onboarding process, which really refers to the process of integrating new suppliers into our procurement system, as well as supplier evaluation, which is the process of assessing our supplier performance based on various criteria that we have, whether it's on-time delivery, cost, quality, confirmations, etc. And then we have our supplier development, and this is a process of improving our supplier performance through training, collaboration, and other initiatives. And I'm actually going to talk a little bit about that as well as we kind of go through the PowerPoint. And then reporting. And reporting is a process of generating reports on supplier performance and other metrics. And not only the generation of the reports, but also the accessibility of those reports by making sure that the suppliers have access to that information, which then in return they can use to improve supplier performance or help us in regards to cost-saving initiatives. So when we talk about when we talk about the power of supplier relationships, to achieve a successful relationship with your suppliers, it's important that the cultures and behaviors between the two organizations align. That way there's a shared vision and objectives and corresponding ways of working, building that trust and openness in those relationships. So, and again, it's really important to have those relationships because they help not only drive cost efficiencies, but like I said, innovations, risk management, and they really do have an impact on the business strategy. For instance, when you have that really good relationship with your suppliers where it's open and they can come to you, it does help reduce costs and minimize disruptions. Again, when you work closely with them, it can lead to more accurate forecast, honest decision-making on how to improve production and procurement efficiencies, the greater transparency and visibility. That one is really key and important because your suppliers can't help you if they don't really know the direction that you're moving to, and having that transparency in regards to things that are happening within your organization, whether there's a change, a business change, or new clients coming in, or cost saving initiatives, whether it's new things going to market. Having that transparency and visibility really helps grow the relationships with the supplier. When we talk about improved risk management, it's really understanding your supplier base and helping to reduce the risk, whether it's anything with fraud or if it has to do with stock outages, even during COVID. Because of the strong relationships we have with our team, we were really able to ensure that we were able to obtain the items that we need for our clients so that there was minimum disruption to their business. And without those relationships that we had with the supplier, we really wouldn't have been able to manage the risk that came along with the COVID process. So having those open communications, making sure the supplier knows what you need as well in advance as possible, and then making sure that they feel that they can come to you and have those open conversations and dialogue. As well as market development. So again, that also has an impact because we can share ideas on things that we can bring to the market, whether it's improving technology on their end or them helping us with some new technology that we're implementing on our end. And then again, which kind of goes into technology advances. And with that, the suppliers and the buyers can share the latest technology developments with each other. And for an example, we're working with one of our suppliers who typically does B2B business, business to consumer business. And they're really looking to grow their B2B business, and their ordering platform is geared more towards that consumer versus the business. So we are actually working with them on ways that they can improve their technology to be more B2B friendly and to give the information that businesses would need in order to really use that supplier to help them maintain the things that they need, whether it's ordering information or stock information, and being able to send it to, again, the business electronically versus doing things like through email, because that's really not the best method in ways of trying to communicate what's happening with transactional purchase orders or confirmations or invoicing. A lot of companies are really moving away from invoices, so we're really from emails. So we're really working with this supplier to help them with their technologies and bring them to the next level. And the other one is sustainability. Ethical initiatives, such as sustainability, can be shared with suppliers to encourage development. Good supplier management of supply chains can help to reduce waste and carbon emissions. And there's really a big push with a lot of companies nowadays for both diversity and sustainability. So by having those relationships with your suppliers, you guys can help each other in regards to meeting those needs. Again, whether it's diversity spend, or if it's sustainability by helping to reduce waste, recycling, and things we can do to help the environment. You can see the on the slide, we talk about the partnership. And when we do that, again, we're looking at collaborations, a win-win for both. Because if one side is winning and the other side is losing, then that's definitely not a strategic relationship or a win-win situation. It's definitely a partnership so that both sides are getting what they need, which ultimately results in the end user, our clients, getting what they need. There's also trust. You cannot have a supplier relationship without trust. You have to be able to trust your supplier with information, and they also have to, in return, be able to trust you with some information that they're sharing with you, that you're not sharing it again with other suppliers or trying to use the information against them. And we talk about relationships. Performance is also important in the relationship. So there are certain metrics that have to be met, and making sure that the suppliers understand what those metrics are and how best to achieve it. And then teamwork and plan. So by working with the suppliers and putting a plan in place, it really helps them to understand what the expectations are, which really goes into the next slide, where we'll be talking about, again, that strategic supplier relationship management and its benefit. To ensure that suppliers are not just vendors, but strategic partners, we really need to engage the suppliers as partners. So this means creating transparent relationships in which our suppliers can share not only good information, but negative information without the fear of being punished. The underlying dynamics of the supplier, the relationship with your supplier needs to shift from more to a proactive pushing of critical information and away from the pulling, right? So it's really important for us as customers of our suppliers to kind of push the data to the supplier so that they're aware of everything that's kind of going on. So when we talk about SRM, it's really a approach to systematically managing and maximizing the value of our suppliers. And again, it's not about just transactions. I give you a PO, you give me a product, and then I pay for it. It's, again, building those long-lasting collaborative partnerships so that at the end of the day, we're getting what we need, the suppliers are getting what they need, and we're building this relationship, partnership, where the suppliers, again, are happy, and then we are happy, and in return, our clients are happy. And when we talk about making sure that there is an open relationship so that the supplier feels free to come to you, again, whether it's negative or positive, we want to make sure that if the supplier feels open enough to come to you and say, okay, we're not going to meet a deadline, or material that we thought was going to arrive is not going to arrive, by having them feel that they can come to you at any time, the faster and the more upfront that they can be with that information, the easier it is for us to put our heads together and work on a resolution to either change production schedules or maybe look at alternatives for the material. And that's where those relationships come into play. So when we talk about how we at SDI collaborate with our suppliers and come up with a mutual beneficial relationship, some of the tactics that we use is contract management. And with contract management, we're really laying out what the expectations are with our suppliers. Our contracts have everything from pricing expectations to price changes to sustainability, diversity requirements. We also talk about performance in regards to on-time delivery, confirmations, expectations, so that way suppliers know upfront what the expectations are. You can't expect them to meet what your requirements are or expectations if you're not openly sharing them with the supplier upfront so that they know what they are. And then you guys can work on how best that they can achieve that and the best ways that they can meet those needs. Another thing that we do is continuous supplier improvement meetings. We meet with our strategic partners at least once a month to go over whether it's supplier performance improvement, or if it's an idea for cost saving initiatives, or if we have a new client that we're going to be working with and we want to make sure that the supplier is aware of the impact it's going to have on the business so that they can prepare for what's coming through. And it's also a way for the supplier to tell us if we're a good customer. One of the roles of supply chain SRM, especially here at SCI, is not only to ensure that our suppliers are good partners, but also that we at SCI is a good customer. Because again, when you have that partnership, it goes two ways. So we want to make sure that we're doing everything on our end to make sure that we're a good customer for that supplier. So that means sharing information, whether it's forecasting or invoicing reconciliation. If there's an issues with invoices, or if the supplier, sees that invoices are being paid late, working with accounting on both sides, the AR and the AP, to make sure that those invoices are being reconciled and paid on a timely basis. Or if it's information, the supplier submitted a bid, but they haven't heard back. Was it awarded? Was it not awarded? So just making sure that our internal customers and our internal team reply to the supplier with that information as well. So again, you want to make sure that not only is your supplier a good partner, but then you're being a good partner to that supplier in returns of sharing information and just making sure it's a win-win situation for both. Again, we collaborate with our suppliers to identify mutual beneficial cost reduction opportunities. We could be buying a particular glove from a manufacturer, and when we're meeting with our suppliers, they all come back and say, you know what, you've been buying glove X from manufacturer X, but we do have these alternatives that are just as good. The quality is just as good or superior, but it's going to save you, anywhere from 10 to 15% off the cost of what you're paying now. So we're able to then look at those and present those cost reductions to our clients as well. So when you have those relationships, they'll bring those opportunities to you, whether it's a new manufacturer that they're looking to work with, and to see how that can work. We have relationships with our suppliers to the point where they actually schedule meetings with us and the manufacturer. So that way there's a three-way communication and a three-way contract, so that, it's a win-win for everyone that's involved in those relationships. So it's really important, again, that when you have those open relationships, that they'll bring those things to you. And by us pushing that information to the supplier, and by the supplier pushing that information to us without us having to ask for it, it really shows just how much of a partner that they're willing to be, and how much of a partner that we're asking them to be, and how much of a partner we're going to be as well. Again, setting those realistic expectations so that they know what we're looking for in regards to cost savings, what we're looking for when it comes to communication, whether it's at a higher level, the mid-level, or the low level. And when we're meeting with the suppliers, it's not just SRM as either. We do bring in other departments, whether it's purchasing managers, accounting managers, whether it's site managers. We're meeting with national sales reps, the local reps, as well as like national VPs, because when you have those strategic relationships, everyone is involved. It's not just the salesperson and the performance manager. It's the accounting manager on our side and the AR manager on that side. Again, just to make sure that everything aligns, and that again, I can't stress again how important it is for communication. If you're not communicating effectively, then it's really not going to really get you anywhere. So it's really important that the information that you're sharing is valuable information. Again, we're looking for beyond, I gave you a PO, it's going to arrive on the 12th. Yes, that's communication, but that's really, we're looking for more communication than just that. What is the tracking number? Is there going to be any delays? Is it a snowstorm on the East Coast, which is going to cause a delay in a delivery? So now we need to look at a different method of getting that product to where it needs to be, because the client needs it at a particular time and date. And then again, fostering a culture of innovation where the supplier can come with an idea on something that we're using and a way to make it better. Or again, we can go to that supplier with ideas on a product that they're providing to us and how to make it better, so that in the end, the client is happy. So like I said, when we meet with the clients, like I said, it's important to make sure that the relevant personnel is invited to those meetings, because when we discuss performance, it's more than just those involved. We look at performance management when we're meeting from our suppliers from an analytical standpoint. So we're looking at those items that we can measure in terms of on-time delivery, on time in regards to ASNs and confirmations, but we're also looking for those things that you can't really measure, and that's in communication. Are they communicating not just horizontally, but vertically as well? We're looking at, are they bringing back ideas on what's important to us in regards to how we transact and how we work and communicate with that supplier. The picture to the right, which shows, the handshakes with the supplier and the puzzle pieces. And I left those puzzle pieces blank because it's really important for you as the buyer, when you're working with those relationships with the supplier, to fill in what's most important to you in regards to communication. So for SDI, I would fill in those puzzle pieces with our customers, our suppliers, our partnership, honesty, communication, and clarity.
I have a question for Fatima that just came in. This is all really great information. Thank you so much for being so thorough. Anyone that has any questions, please feel free to leave a question in the questionnaire box, and I will get to it as soon as possible. Our first question is, what specific metric or KPIs are typically included in the supplier scorecards?
Okay, so when we talk about supplier scorecards, we're talking about metrics that are important to you. So for SDI, and I'm going to actually talk about this more in depth, but when we talk about metrics, we're talking about on-time delivery, because that's important to us. Is the product going to arrive when the supplier says it's going to arrive? We talk about confirmations. Is the supplier confirming the order? And not only are they confirming the order, how quickly are they confirming? So we have requirements that orders are confirmed within 24 hours. So we actually measure, as a supplier, confirming the order in 24 hours. If we give you an order on Monday and it's due on Wednesday and you're confirming it on Thursday, then that's not meeting our metrics, even though you are confirming the order. Another important metric is quality of the product that you're getting. How many returns do you have to return to the supplier because the quality is not meeting the standards? Another important metrics to us is advanced shipping notice. So when you're telling us that a product's going to arrive, that's great. But when is it going to arrive? So by providing tracking information that we can then track and then update and inform our clients, because a lot of our clients are like facility maintenance technicians and they have equipment that may be down. So they need to know when that part is going to arrive. So, we make sure that our suppliers provide us that information so that our technicians that's using our IPM app will be fed this information, right? So they're pushing this information to us, and in return, we then push this information to the facility maintenance technicians via our IPM app, so that they're aware when a part is coming in, so that then they can schedule the maintenance on a piece of equipment to prevent it from being down or for being down for an extended period of time. And then it goes in to talk about technology and discuss how technology simplifies SRM, facilitates relationship building. And technology really is a vital tool to help simplify the SRM process. One of the, as you can see here at the bottom, there's some examples of how SDI uses technology in SRM. And one of the platforms that we use, as you can see here, is Zeus, our Zeus platform. So our Zeus platform consists of many different smaller platforms. So Zeus is the parent platform, so to speak. And then we have materials management, we have our IPM app, and then we have our supplier portal. So for our supplier portal, that's how we transact with our suppliers, and it's all electronically. So whether we're doing EDI, which again removes the manual process, and the two systems talk together. We send a purchase order electronically, and then the suppliers can confirm an ASN and invoice electronically, all without someone having to manually do anything. Some of the other technologies we have, like I said, with our supplier portal, it allows the supplier to confirm a purchase order. They can ASN a purchase order as well as invoice. Not only can they confirm a purchase order, they may think an order is going to arrive by the 5th, but then there's a delay in either manufacturing or from the manufacturer itself, or the inventory could have been off. So now they can go into the supplier portal and update the due date from the 5th to the 7th. And again, by pushing that data to us and having that open communication, we're in return able to let the facility management technicians know that an order is going to be delayed. So again, they're not sitting around waiting for a part, or we have the ability to resource it if equipment is down and there's going to be food spoilage or loss of revenue because equipment is going to be down longer than what it needs to be. There's also catalog management. So as part of our IPM process, we host supplier catalogs. So the supplier can provide information that is typically used by a lot of the facility maintenance technicians. So they can go into the app and they can update the items, whether they're adding items, removing items, changing unit of measure. If there's a pricing change that needs to be done, the supplier has that ability to manage their catalogs via Zeus a supplier portal as well. Another technology that we use is called the SCI newsstand, and this is our supplier scorecards. And this is actually where we house our supplier scorecards. And it gives access to the suppliers 24/7. So just like Zeus, our supplier platform, which is web-based and mobile-based, so that they can access it via the web, or they can access it via their phone. The newsstand is the same way. They can access it via the computer, or they can access it via their phone. So we send the scorecards to the suppliers on a monthly basis. But again, by allowing the suppliers to both push and pull, we can push the data to them monthly, but if they wanted to see if there's any improvement, they can always go into Newsstand and pull the data so that they always have the most relevant score for where they stand at that particular moment. And we also have our contract management platform, which we work with our suppliers to track, whether it's changes to the contract, or if a contract is due to expire, our system will notify us that a contract is due to expire, whether it's 60, 30, or 90 days, depending on what we set those metrics at or notifications at. And then again, back to that reporting push and pull, we give suppliers access to whether it's Zeus Analytics or our supplier portal or the scorecard, where they have data in regards to open orders, historical orders. Even though we push data to them on a cadence, whether it's monthly, quarterly, they also have the ability to pull the data. So that way they're always able to see where they stand and make improvements as needed in regard to their performance. I did want to touch a little bit more in regards to the supplier portal Zeus, because that is, again, a platform that an in-home program, so to speak. So it was created by SDI, again, for our suppliers. It allows our suppliers to have admins for the account where they can create users for their company. So instead of them reaching out to the SRM team at SDI to either add users or remove users, our platform gives them that ability. We don't know when someone is hired or decides they don't want to volunteer anymore for that company, but they do. So they can activate and inactivate users. Users have the ability to reset their own passwords. And again, by giving that open communication via the portal. So if a supplier wanted to, look at trends on what items we're ordering the most, they can go into the supplier portal to get that information. Our supplier portal actually gives the suppliers easier access to their information than sometimes they can get from their own systems because of the way it's set up. We really listen to what our suppliers say in regards to our supplier portal, to the point where we actually created a new supplier portal, Supplier Portal 2.0, we're lovingly calling it, because there was a lot of feedback from the suppliers on ways to make it better, things that we can do to improve it, to make, easier for them to transact in it, easier for them to gather information, to push and pull information. So we'll be launching our new supplier portal in the next week or so, which I'm really excited about. We've worked really hard on it. And again, it's going to be even better for the suppliers to make sure that the transparency is there and the communication is there. The new portal will include things like diversity spend. So the suppliers will be able to provide their tier 1 and tier 2 spend on supplier, tier 2 spend on supplier diversity, and any plans that they've done for sustainability as well. So again, being able to give us that information, so in return, we can make sure that we're meeting the metrics that we have set, that our clients have set for us. Another thing about the portal is, again, the ability for them to pull reports, whether it's open order reports or whether, like I said, historical reports. They can run reports by site, by client. It really gives them a wealth of knowledge to be able to improve on their performance, and be able to improve on their partnerships, or come back and, again, they can say, we've noticed that you were purchasing this item and you've been ordering it, 20 times a month, and we're going to then, move it to the contract. So now we're getting contract pricing for this item. So when you have those partnerships with the supplier and that open communication, those are the things that they're going to do for you as a partner. They're going to look at your spend and look at ways on how they can improve on their performance, improve on cost saving initiatives, or even making things easier. Whether a client is ordering something in one material and there's another material that can be used to help save a couple dollars. Again, having those open relationships with them really does matter. I know I talked about COVID a little bit, but having those relationships with those suppliers during COVID, it helped us out tremendously. We had suppliers that were really able to help us and help us grow during the COVID and during the pandemic because of the relationships that we had. And again, the partnerships that we have with our suppliers, the UPS strike, everyone was concerned whether they were going to strike, whether they weren't going to strike. Our strategic partners were reaching out to us without us even having to reach out to them to inform us of the plan and how they were going to, because UPS was our transporter of preferred transporter. So the suppliers were coming to us and saying, we know you use UPS, however, just letting you know that if they do go on strike, we're going to use FedEx. We already have a plan in place to be able to ensure that there's no disruption in the orders and the material going out to your clients. So because, again, we had those relationships with our suppliers, it really made it easy for them to be able to go out and get those things taken care of. Now, supplier scorecards, it's definitely an effective tool that we use in SRM to manage our suppliers' performance. We look at it more of a collaborative tool and a way to open communication than it is as to penalize our suppliers. Again, it helps identify areas for improvement. It helps manage performance. But again, it fosters transparency in regards to promoting collaborative problem solving, and again, bridging that partnership and relationship that we have with the suppliers. So I know I talk about transparency and visibility a lot because really without that, you can't really have a partnership. You have to be open in any type of relationship that you have, whether it's with suppliers or personal, business. Having an open and transparency relationship is really important. Again, the scorecards also identify areas for improvement. So we can look at it and tell the suppliers where they need to improve. The suppliers can look at it and see what areas they need to improve. And it also encourages them to improve their performance because they can see that, last month, maybe they were at a 90, now they're at a 95%. So it encourages them because they can see less yellow and red and more green. So they want to continue to do that. And they become really proud of their scores and the things that they were able to achieve. I have suppliers that if their score tanks, they want to know why is my score tanking? And it also keeps both sides honest. If you have a supplier, we actually just had a supplier meeting and they had their invoice rating at 99.96%. And we had their PO accuracy at 85%. And there was a huge disconnect between what we were showing and what they were showing. So in their system, they're just looking at how many times they would have to revise the PO because the pricing is wrong. So whether it's issuing credits, but they weren't taking into consideration, the invoice rejections where we had to reject an invoice because the invoice wasn't accurate in our system.
Awesome. I have one more question that just came in. And this is a perfect segue. How do you ensure that supplier scorecards are accurate and provide a fair representation of the supplier's performance?
Okay, that is a great question and a great segue. So because when we give the suppliers access to the scorecard via newsstand, not only do we give them the high level scorecard and the results, the metrics in regards to where they stand with the different KPIs, we also give them all of these supporting data. So we say you have a 85% in on-time delivery. Here's all the data that says why you're at 85%. Your ASN is at 97%, and here's all the data as to why it's at 97%. So the suppliers have the data and they've come back to us to say, you're saying, or at least the scorecard says I have a 90 and confirmations, but I reviewed the data and the data says I'm at 96%. So then we would kind of go back, have the conversations, review the data together, and say, you know what, there was an issue with the scorecard, make the adjustment so that now the scorecard is accurate. So if we didn't provide the supporting data as to why the scores are the way they are, then the supplier would have never known. So we provide that data and we're very transparent. So that way the suppliers can help keep us honest in regards to the scorecard and to make sure that the scorecard reflects their actual performance. So the other thing with the scorecards, it definitely drives continuous improvement. Because these suppliers have access to the scorecard, and again, we're pushing the data on a monthly basis, but they can pull it at any time. So they're always looking at ways to improve on the scorecard. We have these monthly meetings where we're reviewing the data and we can, help them improve. And we do that by having meetings. Not only do we do our monthly, but we do deep dives. Where we will go to the supplier and spend a day, sometimes two, and we'll go through the entire process on how we provide the purchase orders to them, how once we send them the POs, how they then enter the orders into their system, and is there any ways that we can limit key clicks, right? So how many times are they having to push a button or click something to process that order? And what can we do by providing the data to you to simplify that process? So We have those type of meetings as well. And we, again, all of that stems from the scorecard, because the supplier may not be scoring really high in ASNs, or not just ASNs, but verifiable tracking. Are we able to verify that the tracking information you gave us, is it even valid? Are we able to even track that information? This is an example of the scorecard that we provide the suppliers. And again, it gives them their on-time delivery, their lead time score, confirmations, confirmed ASNs, POs with valid tracking. We also track their payment terms because it is very important, as well as PO accuracy. So you have to look at what's important to you and your organization, and then that's what you will build your scorecard off of. If quality is important to you, if the number of rejections, parts per million, or lot rejections are important to you, then you will add that information into your scorecard, and making sure that you're sharing that data with the suppliers, and then you're open. So you don't want to just share the high level scorecard. You definitely want to share with them the supporting data, so that the supplier knows this is where the data came from. So that way they can keep you honest in regards to the score, and they can then take the data back, have internal meetings with their shipping department in regards to why they're not providing accurate tracking information. Or it can be with their customer service team or their purchasing team in regards to maybe having to increase stock or work with their manufacturers to help improve lead times for purchase orders. Okay. And that's really my presentation for today. Are there any other questions?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I wanted to remind everyone, we will be sending a link to this recording for this particular webinar with the deck and PDF form. So be on the lookout for that. Let me look at the chat box. It is clear. Fatima, thank you so much. This is great. Love the information, very thorough. This was amazing. I look forward to our next webinar series. So if you guys have any questions, please feel free to give us a buzz or send us an email, and we'll be responding to you as soon as possible. Have a good one. Bye, guys.
Thank you.